Welcome to another Classics But Not Masterpieces episode, and this time we are featuring the album Friday Night in San Francisco. Here we cover how this album could have even been greater, even though it's a classic. It's 1981, and John McLaughlin, Al Di Meola, and Paco De Lucia performed their guitar trio in North America and Europe. This is a live album produced by three great guitarists who thrilled audiences with different styles, techniques, and tones, all on acoustic guitars. Friday Night in San Francisco is a live album that was performed at the Warfield Theater in San Francisco the previous year. At this particular concert in 1980, there was around 37 minutes of music released and one track from the studio. The duet pieces are Mediterranean Sundance, Rio Ancho, Short Tales of the Black Forest, Frevo Rasgado, and the trio's performance of Di Meola's Fantasia Suite. The guitar trio would go into the studio and record McLaughlin's Guardian Angel. Even though it's not live, Guardian Angel is probably my favorite track on the album. Although this performance is spectacular, the album is only over 41 minutes in length. And here's the common theme on this channel with regards to live recordings being released as albums, and that is, not everything is released that could have been. Over 40 years later in 2022, Al Di Meola was able to release parts of the other night called Saturday Night in San Francisco from the recordings that he kept decades ago. The sound is wonderful, and he chose to release his Splendido Sundance, Paco's Chanela or El Pañuelo, and McLaughlin's Meeting of the Spirits, and this would have made the original Friday Night in San Francisco a masterpiece had this music been included back in 1981. I would also add that they could have released a live version of Guardian Angels, and that would have been the icing on the cake. The guitar trio would also perform a version of Spain that was a perfect tune for the group. The politics behind the album were complex. John McLaughlin formed the trio in 1979 with Paco and Larry Coryell, but new guitar hero Di Meola replaced Coryell within the following year. McLaughlin was with CBS Records and wanted to release a live album of the trio from the European concerts the previous year, but the record company didn't want another acoustic album from him. They were dissatisfied with the sales from his acoustic group Shakti. They would not give him artistic freedom. Al Di Meola was the new guitar hero from his fusion albums, and he brought fresher compositions to the trio from those guitar albums he was producing within Columbia Records, while McLaughlin left the company and signed with Warner Brothers. In my opinion, Paco De Lucia, who came from the flamenco world, is the star of the show. He does things that seem impossible on acoustic guitar. To me, he is the greatest acoustic player of all time, and both Al and John seem to both play tug of war for their love of Paco's musical persona. I do know that this is John's concept, as he created this idea, although Paco did play on Al's Elegant Gypsy album back in 1977 in the form of a duet. In the end, the three greatest came together at the right time at the right place, and it was a perfect trinity of sounds. In retrospect, as far as the music goes, Friday Night in San Francisco became one of the most influential live guitar albums of his time. Al brings his jazz fusion style with his Latin influence, John brought his jazz fusion style with his Indian classical influence, and Paco brought his flamenco style with his Spanish influence. This classic album is a fusion of jazz, flamenco, and Latin all rolled into one, and it's one of my favorites. This is Flame Sky. See you on the next one.